Thank you, Madam Mayor, council members. We really do have a lot of great projects going on the Historic Preservation Commission, which I'm staff liaison. And to tell you a little bit about those tonight is Nels Reese. He's our chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. So at this point, I'll turn the time over to Nels.
Make sure we're ready to go.
Ooh,
I need technical help every day. Can we turn off the light over here behind you, please? Thank you. So to go forward, I just do. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Cheney, and good evening, City Council. Seems like we just did this about 6 weeks ago, so here we are. I guess we're having fun. Another year has gone by with the Moscow Historic Preservation Commission, and thank you for giving us a chance to report to you. We do have 9 members. You can see who they are on the board. I've been chair for the last couple of years, and this has been a pretty good year for us. We've had some interesting activities, so happy to sort of share those with you. Each year, as you know, Michael's going to pass out. If you haven't gotten a Preservation Moscow, you need another one. So here you are with our little newspaper or newsletter that we try and put out each year. And we've been fortunate the last couple of years to have a really good staff, somebody that's really aggressive to write this for us. And she's from way over on the other side of the mountain over there toward Princeton. But she does an amazing job for us. And this year, of course, on the front page, you see a focus of this very building that is we're proud to have as our City Hall. So the City Hall was a big feature with the Preservation newsletter. We're trying in the downtown district to get a little plaque on each and every building, and we don't have a vast amount of money, as you may have noticed when you did the budget. We're down in we barely creep toward $1,000, so we have a little bit of money to try to put these plaques in place. And this is just an example of some of the buildings that we have ordered now, 15 new bronze plaques for downtown buildings, and in due time, we should have all 26 buildings downtown with a little plaque on it, and then we'll move outside the historic district and get plaques. As you know, there are plaques on, like the City Hall has something that was done in 76 for the bicentennial, but we're going to add to that and add a little plaque. You can see what those plaques typically look like there. And this is basically just an activity that moves on from last year. I want to get to that in a minute. Each year, as you know, we do give Orchid Awards, and we haven't given naughty awards very much. We tend to we complain about that in our own amongst our own members when we see something that we don't particularly like, but we'd like to keep it on a positive realm. And this year we gave 4 Orchid Awards, and we're so proud of the Chamber of Commerce that spent a little bit of money in bringing the facade back into, let's see, there you can see it right there, and you know what it looks like, but it really is charming. And I must say that working with the Chamber and Steve Hacker, it was really great to see them And there's a few things that they might even still do in the forefront of the building. They'd like to maybe change that column a little bit, but it's a nice shift. And you know, we in the 60s and 70s we put a bunch of wooden shingles in front of every building. We thought that that would be the most wonderful thing to do. And now we're realizing that maybe going back to our roots isn't such a bad thing. And we certainly did that with the chamber. The university has been amazing in these hard times, that the Permanent Building Fund Council has tended to say no more new buildings. We're just going to upgrade the ones that we've gotten. So once again, the building on the right here, the Science Hall, has been refurbished with, it just looks as good as it ever has. So I'm really pleased that the university has been so careful with their historic buildings. Some of you may have noticed, if you had a grandchild or knew of somebody that went to St. Mary's, that the fence over there, the wall at St. Mary's, was leaning and tipping and looking really uncared for. And Sister Margaret managed to find somebody to get that wall straightened up. And they have not, rather than tearing it down because, well, it's leaning over a little bit, they found somebody to straighten it all up. This was just, I can't show you a before picture, but trust me, it looked really bad. And if your little 4-year-old daughter was going in there, you might wonder. And so they fixed that up. And on the right, the fourth Orchid Award was for the Unitarian Universalist Church, and they went back to that window and this window here. They had been modernized at some point and got rid of that little Gothic part, and so now they've gone back as they're working on the church and brought it back to its original state. So we were quite pleased with that, and we had these 4 awards that we were quite proud of. And we each year at the Latah Historical Society social, we give out these awards, and you can see that the 4 people were there getting the awards. And whoops, I need to go back. What happened to me? I went away. Nancy is there taking the award for Steve Hacker should have been there, but I'm sure he was out hiking in some at Mallard Larkins or someplace. I don't know where he was, but we have such a good time at that social giving out awards. It's fun to give awards, as you noted. You've been having a lot of fun with awards. So, and it's a kind of a big day in historic Moscow, because today's the day that building went down. You might have noticed if you went by. It took the construction firm about 13 seconds to knock that baby down. As you said, Wayne, it's not hard to knock these things down, and we feel a little bad about that, but we understand the city and the urban renewal district's issue of how to best use a small piece of land that they have. And we shed a tear or two about losing it, but we're going to try to reclaim some of those blocks, and I'm personally out there trying to talk to Mr. Germer and see if I can get some of those blocks to use in some historic way as we go forward. So anyway, we paid attention to that little building as it went down. We continue to sponsor tours of downtown with our, and I'm sure you've all seen that little walking tour guide that we do. So we try to give 4 or 5 tours each year, and I try and get a little bit outside of downtown, actually, to go toward the university and toward the Fort Russell district as we do these tours. So that's something that we continue to do. Now this year was a little bit unique. As you know, we got a grant with our great grant team here at the city to put on a show here at City Hall. And we supported that idea as strongly as we could and worked hard on that. And on the I worked a lot, my wife and Pam Overholzer and yours truly worked pretty hard on this show, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we've got it all boxed up and saved so that we could do it again, and we could put it up. But I think it was rather successful, and you see the pictures of our art walk time. We had hundreds of people come up, and it was especially it was a great experience for me just to get to know my town a little bit better. I've been here a while, but until you dig into the files of these images, you don't realize, when did Shorty's burn on Main Street? 1940, you know, big fire on Main Street. Everybody came out for that. And so this was a great show, and we discovered some things. We discovered the person that actually did these drawings on that bottom one right there. We found those and have those in our, thanks to Larry Hodge, we were able to get our hands on these drawings that were done 30 years ago, and those are drawings of Moscow in about 1925. So that was one thing we found. Another thing we found, both of these images, through the research that we did for this show, these are two images that remind us of just what a incredible place Moscow was in 1900. It's shocking that we should have built. We can hardly get ourselves to build such buildings again. And the railroad had come to town, and we were apparently feeling our oats. And of course, the university's first administration building is here, and the McCormick or the McConnell building, and the hotel, and David's building, and many of those buildings, half of them have been torn down. But it does remind us of our rich heritage. So those were some interesting things that came out of the 100-year exhibit, and I was really pleased to be part of that. Now, just recently, we hosted a downtown historic owners party over at the Kenworthy, and we invited Ron Wells, who owns the McConnell building and is a rather notable entrepreneur, architect, and historic preservationist in Spokane. And he came down and spoke to a number of the owners were there. And so it was quite a nice little event that we had. And our intention now is to, on the 29th of this month, to host a workshop, and we're bringing people in from Boise for this workshop. And should any of you with council, beside Wayne, who's our liaison person, if anybody else would like to come to this on September 29th, I'll try and make sure we get an announcement into your box. But this will be a chance to talk about tax incentives and ways in which owners, and I have to tell you that after our party, one of the cool things that happened was that Pam over at Hodgins was all excited about maybe bringing her building back into historic prominence. And so we've had several people get a little bit more interested in being part of this sort of historic district. And we will continue to do the same kinds of things. I don't think we can have a better year than we had just this year. This was a little bit special, and with our 100th anniversary, and though you saw, I would give an orchid right away to the city staff for making sure that the roof on this place gets repainted in a timely manner. And so anyway, thank you very much. We'll continue to cast a net wider than just our two historic districts. We don't have a historic district on campus. I'm not sure whether that'll ever happen. It could. it could be something that could happen. But as we, several of you on council are now eligible for historic status.
Hey,
And he's not talking about your house.
And that should be a proud thought.
Some of us have qualified for a long
If you were
time.
born before 1960, boy, you've got, you're
An antique.
you know, we just say 50
anybody in this room
years.
that wouldn't qualify. Maybe Stephanie.
Only Tom and
don't qualify.
Dan are the only probably ones, and the mayor, perhaps she can't qualify either, but it's a good thing to be thought of as a historic element of our neighborhood. And this is something we said last year, that we're trying to republish this book, but if you'd like to think about adding a little extra money into our budget, maybe we could think about that. But anyway, thanks very much, and it's a pleasure to be part of this commission.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Well done presentation. Looks like, are you willing to field some questions?
Sure.
Wayne has something to say?
Now I get to get even with you.
Yes, sir.
That was a joke. No, I just want to say that it's been really a pleasure to be your liaison on the Historical Commission. You know, one of the things that I've gained is an appreciation for some of the architectural design of a lot of the older buildings, and this was really brought forward to me when I was in Washington, D.C. this spring. Some of the buildings that I probably wouldn't have noticed. The design and the artwork built into the buildings, and I have the Historical Commission to thank for giving me that ability to see that. You know, you do an excellent job of running it. I enjoy your humor most of the time, and you have a very, very passionate commission, and
Yeah, we do that.
You folks really enjoy what you're doing, and thank you for allowing me to be your liaison. I appreciate that also.
And we thank you for, I thank you for putting up with me. Thank you. Any other question? Any other thought?
Well, I just want to say I observed firsthand how hard you all worked on that exhibit, you particularly, Nels, and thank you for that. I mean, I think, we heard Barbara say at the outset of tonight's meeting, you work because you enjoy it. It's something that gives you some fulfillment, makes a difference. And please know the work that you and your colleagues on the Historic Preservation Commission are doing matters for the long-term well-being of our whole community. So very well
I
done.
remember the question I was going to ask, is who really chairs it? Was it you or Joyce?
Oh.
Well, careful. I am guided.
Use the Oliver North defense. You have no specific
And
recollection.
so, I wouldn't want to go, I wouldn't want to explain that relationship.
Oh, well, I always like to say it might be interesting to look at, it might be inexpensive to digitally republish that on the web. And I knew Lillian Ottness. I don't know how many of you guys knew her, but she was a
This is such
great lady.
a cherished book, and it's the book that I grab every time I need to answer a question about Moscow. And so I'm sorry that I didn't pay attention to Lillian more when we could have known each other, but I didn't realize how much she was going to impact my life. And these books are no longer in print, of course, but it's done with not only a care, but a kind of a passion that I do appreciate. And we'll figure out a way to get it republished. It just haven't quite got there yet, but maybe next year we can give you a better report.
Thank you, Nels, and please extend our thanks to your colleagues.
You know what, I did forget to say that it's good to have good staff. And part of
When
the
he's talking to the microphone,
deal-
Mike would like that to be on the record, as would I.
Yeah. Does he get points for that on his?
Please. Nels, please come to the microphone so people can hear you. Uh-huh.
It's important to have a good staff. Every commission is just about as good as its staff. And you can try to get, but you need somebody that's part of the city to really assist and make things happen for you and open doors. And we appreciate that. And I think that I know that's your job and the council's job to make sure that you get people appointed to those that are good. But we've had a good time with Mike, and he's growing every day. I don't think he's getting taller, but he's growing.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. To you, too.